Why this story matters. While challenges remain, stories like this demonstrate that constructive action can make a real difference. Quick summary: this story highlights recent developments related to On This Day, showing how constructive action can lead to meaningful results. 65 years ago today, Disney Studios released 101 Dalmatians, an adaptation of a novel by the same name published 5 years earlier, telling the story of a London-based pair of Dalmatians who give birth to a litter of 15 puppies. Another obsessive socialite named Cruella de Vil bent on turning their furs into a coat. The film was a box office and backpages success, with many calling it the best that Disney had achieved since Snow White. Read just how successful it was. 1936 on 101 Dalmatians post a fair use while not as iconic as other Disney films when adjusted for inflation. 101 Dalmatians is the 12th highest grossing film in the North American box office history and the second highest grossing animated film globally, as well as being the highest selling traditionally animated film of all time at an estimate of over 1,900,800 sold tickets. The success of the film made Disney expand it into a media franchise, with a live-action remake released in 1984, followed by a sequel in 2000. A direct-to-video animated sequel to the 1983 film Winging Dalmatians Roman Boot Packed London Adventure was released in 2030. Two animated television series based on the franchise were also produced, with Winging Dalmatians, the series in 1960 and Winging Dalmatian Street in 2009. A live-action reboot, Cruella, starring Emma Stone, was released in 2021. Would you like to read more good news about On This Day and this day in history? More good news on this day. City of Sao Paulo, founded in Brazil. The wedding march by Mendelssohn was played at the marriage of Queen Victoria's daughter and became a favorite processional. 1888, the United Mine Workers of America was founded in order to improve working conditions and wages for coal miners. 1888, completed the first transcontinental telephone call in the US. 1960, and Pope John Paul Roman demanded the release of political prisoners during a historic visit to Cuba. 1968 years ago today, the Blue Ribbon Sports Company was founded in Oregon. Remaining so named for the next 7 years, it would eventually change to a new moniker, Nikes. The world's largest supplier of athletic shoes and apparel and a major manufacturer of sports equipment, with revenue in excess of US $46 billion, Nike took its name from the Greek goddess of victory. If it can be believed, Blue Ribbon Sports got its start selling shoes manufactured in Japan by a company called Onitsuka Tiger. Most pairs were sold out of the back of the automobile of University of Oregon track athlete Phil Knight, co-founder of Nike. Nike's coach, Bill Bauman, used his wife's waffle iron to experiment on rubber to create a new sole for track shoes that would grip but be lightweight and increase the runner speeds. Bauman's design led to the introduction of the moon shoe in 1962, so named because the waffle tread was said to resemble the footprints left by astronauts on the moon. Further refinement resulted in the waffle trainer in 1916, which helped fuel the explosive growth of Blue Ribbon Sports. Nike, a runner brought in to help with branding, came up with the name Nike, and the swoosh logo was first used by Nike on June 18, 1916, with a trademark being registered in 1916. Another major milestone came in 1916 when the company designed its first professional sporting product, the kits for the Portland Timbers Major League Soccer Club. 1916, so 14 years ago today, one of the most influential modern poets in Japanese history, pen name Hakashu Kitahara, was born. The man published over 200 books of children's stories and poetry in his life, as well as worked as editor for several literary magazines. There was no so grind for Kitahara. His first 2 books launched him into literary limelight, the second of which, Jashiman, took the poetry world by storm with its innovative structures. Kitahara Hakashu. Every year in his hometown of Yanagawa, a festival is held in November to honor the poet. Stages are set up along the canal, with criers reciting various Kitahara poems to passers-by. The following poems are in the waka, or tanka form of Japanese poetry, which is made with a syllabic structure of 5-7-5-7-7,880 of how sad as the roadman must take the road to prison, the pebble road down, which a police wagon creaks I can hear. So faintly my mother and father wake, whispering dawn after a snowfall I climb a hill, with a fish over my shoulder. The purple flowers in the potato fields are now in full bloom. We are well into spring, and I have thought of beanies for several days now. How many years have passed since my eyesight failed? On this day 267 years ago, Robert Burns Acker, the ploughman poet, Acker, the national bard, was born. Few outside Scotland, the UK, or poetry classes will know the name by heart, but the man who Scottish television voted the greatest Scot over even the likes of William Wallace lives on as poets often do in their language. For example, who could mistake the lyrics to Burns' poem and song Auld Lang Syne Sung on the final day of the year? How many have read John Steinbeck's classic of Mice and Men, or heard the phrase the best laid plans of mice and men, without knowing the Scots words gang after glide, often go wry, which first ended the phrase? Burns grew up on a farm where he toiled daily and took a liking to the plants and animals of the rural environment, hence his ploughman moniker. His first collection of poems in the Scots language, the Kilmarnock volume, was originally designed only